Subject is Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee issue. I gave a short presentation on this previously. This is an interesting little cover where they've actually applied a sticker showing an older view of Queen Victoria on this cover from 1897. Of course, this is a picture of Queen Victoria with her mother, who was also Princess Victoria. And she was the daughter of Prince Edward, the fourth son of King George III. And Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld in Germany. She married her first cousin, Prince Albert. 9 children, 42 grandchildren. There's 40 kids who could say, "Hey, hi, Grandma Vic." And within those 42, there are still quite a few of the descendants of her children. Not all the grandchildren are available, but there's quite a few descendants. Of course, we have King Charles. I kept talking about King Charles. I didn't know he was King Charles III of the UK. Harold V of Norway, Carl Gustaf XVI of Sweden, Margaret II of Denmark, and Philip VI of Spain. These are all her descendants who are still living. Some of her descendants who are still living, and they are throughout the royal families of Europe. But let's look at the stamp. Here's I'm looking at the 3 cent, but it's the same image that's used on the different values. Commemorates 60 years as the Queen of Great Britain and the British Empire. So I had some questions about it. What are the names of the 3 crowns that we see on the stamp? There's one there, and one there. We're going to look at that a little bit. Is the young Queen Victoria image the same as that used on earlier Canadian issues? Are the images and crowns the same as on the GB issues? And now, thank you to the Nova Scotia issues, because we didn't have that information. I've added a slide about the Nova Scotia issues. So there's an interesting story behind here. At previous coronations, the St. Edward's crown was worn, but since it weighed 5 pounds, it was considered just simply be too heavy for a 19-year-old Queen Victoria. So they created and produced the new lighter Imperial state crown for her. That's what it looked like. And that's what she's seen wearing during her coronation. It became referred to properly as the Imperial state crown. And here it is on the stamp. That's the crown that's in the middle there at the top. There's a little bit of artistic license, but it's pretty close. It's still got the rounded curve on top as compared to the other crowns that she's worn. Here we see her with the diamond diadem. This is a crown that was produced in 1820 for King George IV. And here we see her small diamond crown, which was designed after Prince Albert's death. He died quite young, actually. She even felt that the Imperial state crown was too heavy. So the small diamond one is the one we see in later years. It's only about 3.5 inches in diameter. So that's the size of a softball. So it's this little half a softball size crown on the top of her head. But there's a little bit of a problem. Where did that image for the young Queen Victoria come from? Well, it was a painting here, originally presented in 1840 by Queen Victoria to the King of Portugal, a painting by Alfred Chalon. Now, there's still a problem, though. This is the image that was used for the early Queen Victoria stamps in Canada. There's a problem, though, with it. Does anyone see the problem? Here it is here on the early number 9, I believe, from Canada. And then we'll see the later version that was used on Queen Victoria on the Jubilee on the right. They made it to the right a bit. And so the image is very similar as to what was used on the Jubilee. It's reversed right to left. The hairline is slightly different. I think in the left version, the hairline isn't really representative of what a woman's hairline would like, but this is what was on the painting. If we go back to the painting, we'll see the hairline there too. No necklace on the Jubilee issue, or there is a hint of a necklace right here in the corner. We don't see anything over here. The earrings are the same as on the painting. The crown is not at all how it would appear in reality. The crown is basically figment of the engraver's imagination, which is basically a figment of the painter's imagination. The crown was actually consisted of 4 cloisons pâté, which are and 4 sprays of roses, shamrocks, and thistles, representing England, Ireland, and Scotland. And for us to see the 6 of those faces on a crown just physically is impossible. There's no way that the crown that contained 8 of these elements could be worn on a head where you could see 6 of them. We can imagine it just doesn't fit. It can't work. Is it the same images on the GB issues? There's no resemblance at all. GB is in left side profile. There are a few Canon Canadian stamps like Canon number 8, 14, 20, and 2044. I found it interesting that we talk often about the Canada large queen and small queen issues, and all the small queens are facing right in profile, except number 44, which is facing left. I'm not sure why, but interestingly, the GB used the same image for 50 years. There was no aging of Queen Victoria on any of the stamps. Canada did. Canada did show some aging over the years. They didn't issue anything with so the only thing that you could get with Queen Victoria's image was a set of Cinderellas, as we call them. They're called commemorative stamps, not issued by the post office or Royal Mail. And she is wearing this small diamond crown. The crown that we see here is on the GB is a crown that her husband, Prince Albert, it's not even a crown, it's a diadem. It doesn't even, it's a fairly small, it doesn't go around, and it's quite small, in fact. And it's one that her husband, Prince Albert, created 4 of these crowns, diadems or coronets for them. They're smaller ones. There's a diamond and sapphire one. There's an emerald one, and he produced those for her. The diadem is correctly reported on this image of Queen Victoria. It's on the Nova Scotia image. This is what the crown would look like on Queen Victoria's head. So that's what I would thank you for showing us I had not seen the Nova Scotia issues. Thank you for showing them in the presentation. So I quickly put them in, but that's how the Nova Scotia actually did it correctly.
And that cross in the front there still plagues philatelists today, because on the Mashin heads, you have to look at it to identify them.
Oh, interesting.
It's formed differently where there's too much space between the 4 different parts of the cross on some of the lithographed issues, and then on the engraved ones, it's actually much cleaner.
But one can imagine that there's only this crown has features, if you want to call it, at the 8 points of a compass, and you wouldn't see any of them at the back, and you wouldn't certainly see 6 of them from one view like we see here in this. There's no way you'd see 6 of those faces on this crown or on the paint. Now that all comes back. I thought it was the engraver's mistake. No, I've learned this morning, that it actually was the artist's mistake who gave her such a fancy crown, which was not at all what it really looked like. And here's another final cover with the fabulous cancellation from Victoria, where you can read the 37 in the top left and the 1897 on the bottom right. Unfortunately, the stamp is upside down. And here's another cover that I like simply because of the beautiful script. Someone's really taken some time and effort to address this. R.N. Scott and Company on McGill Street in Montreal. And that's
gorgeous.